How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. People are kind of pissed at Michael Saylor here today, and I've been seeing this more and more where people are questioning what they're doing, issuing debt, buying more Bitcoin. But people are specifically pissed at the buy that they did today, which is interesting. We'll talk about that. We'll also be talking about what's happening in the market. You know, there is more red. People are saying the market's dumping, down another 2%. Bitcoin's down at 93,000. XRP down at $2.14. Solana down to 182. And we're at kind of a key point on Total 2 that I want to show you. If you don't mind, hit subscribe. Turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this one. If you want to trade crypto, there's a link underneath the video to Blofin. I've been placing some trades on Blofin. Just yesterday, I talked about this trade on Solana that I rolled and took a bigger position on. I think we could see a pretty nice bounce here soon, but of course, do your own research. There is about a day and a half left too, where you can complete some different tasks to get XRP or Bitcoin. You can spin this wheel for free, so definitely check that out underneath the video. I think now is a great time to be trading, but of course, there is risk in it. So let's start here. Metaplanet acquired an additional 620 Bitcoin for just about $99,000 per Bitcoin. Now they have 1,762 Bitcoin, or about $167 million worth of Bitcoin. They've acquired this very quickly. I think they started in the summer and have scaled up to about 2,000 Bitcoin. It's interesting that there's so many companies doing this, and this was a pretty big buy for them. Obviously, they performed really well. I think they're the best performing stock in their region. And yeah, people love it. People are trying to get exposure to Bitcoin, and in some other countries, they can't really get direct exposure, or they just want some kind of like mini MicroStrategy where they go out and issue cheap debt, issue shares to buy more Bitcoin. We have Rumble integrating, possibly integrating Bitcoin tipping functions on their platform, along with USDT, I saw too. So Rumble is a competitor for YouTube. They've been making some noise over the weekend, and I said this in one of my videos. They were up 50% in the post market on Friday, and now they're up 83% because they got a $775 million investment from USDT. So this is really interesting. This is obviously the biggest stablecoin player out there. They're just printing money. They're obviously trying to diversify into different businesses, and yeah, they're investing money into a YouTube competitor. I'd say this is a very difficult thing to get into and do well. There are a couple different streaming platforms like Twitch and Kick, Rumble. They're trying to compete with YouTube, but no one's even close at this point. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did get some of the Bitcoiners that want to get paid out in Bitcoin, that want to get tips in Bitcoin and all that. But yeah, I personally would not tip anyone in Bitcoin. I'm not giving up my Bitcoin to, get a sudden bit of dopamine or something like that. Now, Michael Saylor, he obviously has been buying a lot of Bitcoin. A lot of people, including British Hodl, were expecting like 15 to 20,000 Bitcoin. I think British Hodl said 20 to 22,000 Bitcoin bought over this last week. But they actually bought about 5,262 Bitcoin. They bought at near the peak, 106,662 per Bitcoin. And they now hold 444,000. Acquired it for about 62,300 per Bitcoin. Now, a lot of people are kind of pissed off at this. You can see here, Whale Panda, wow, at 106K. That's absolutely horrible. So we had to stop buying around last Wednesday because of the blackout period. James Van Stratton says, only rationale is indeed a blackout period occurred in the second part of the week. Bigger players buying the dip as MSTR wasn't involved. So yeah, we did dip on Bitcoin. Let me pull up the Bitcoin chart here. We dipped on Bitcoin towards the second half of the week. So they most likely were buying right in this region. And then, yeah, they just didn't buy the dip at all, essentially. And again, the reason for that, they do have a blackout period, it seems, where they can't issue more debt. They can't buy Bitcoin for a little while. But yeah, I'm guessing that they will be coming back with a vengeance as soon as this blackout period's done. I believe it's for a couple weeks, could be up to a month. I don't know the specifics of it, but this was interesting. I see a lot of people talking about Michael Saylor recently, like questioning the business model of issuing debt to buy Bitcoin. They're talking about how it's a Ponzi scheme, including the likes of Jason from the All In podcast. He seems to be talking about it very consistently. Michael Saylor's response was, is it a Ponzi scheme to take out debt and then to buy properties in Manhattan? And then when they go up in value, you take out more debt and you collateralize those properties and then buy more, buy more properties, right? Like, the fact is, if you have an asset, you can take loans against it and buy more of it, and then it causes the price to go up. The difference here is Bitcoin's actually inelastic, right? In New York, if you buy a property and it goes up in value and then you take out debt and then you bid on a new property, sure, it might raise the value of your original property a little bit, but there's just so much supply. Like, you can't make a sizable impact. If you buy a property and then you buy one around the block, unless you overpay for it, even then, like, it might not move the original property's price at all. But when you have an asset that can't be printed more of, the fact is that when you buy a significant amount, it does typically push up the price. And just the fact that Bitcoin in general has performed so well, it's an asset that performs 50% a year. You can take out a lot more debt. You can use that strategy, and you can get cheaper debt. It's much more volatile. And the fact is, if people are pissed off that they sell shares at a premium, it's not their fault that people are paying more for the shares than what they're actually worth in net asset value, right? If they're getting a 100% premium on their shares, what do you expect them to do? Not take advantage and go out and buy more Bitcoin? When they do that, they actually make the premium smaller because they're selling shares, which lowers the stock price, and then they're buying more Bitcoin. So it makes the underlying company stronger. It is right on par with their mission, right? They're not lying about anything, what they're doing or anything like that. And it also makes it so that the future buyers have to pay less of a premium. So I don't really get where some people are coming from. So I see people continuously coming after Michael Saylor. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. There is some element of extra risk when you buy MSTR versus Bitcoin, but there's also one less risk, which is you don't have to self-custody. So it is interesting. It's a trade-off, right? You're buying something that leverages up versus just buying the underlying asset. But MSTR has performed really well. I think whenever an asset performs this well, people naturally question it. They're naturally cautious of it. And I think that's just going to continue more and more. And the fact that some people don't like it means that there's still upside in it, in my opinion. Michael Saylor said that before. Like, if you want 100x return, you don't go out and buy the thing that everyone agrees on is a great investment, right? You have to buy something that maybe is a little bit riskier. Now, Total 2. This is the total market cap minus Bitcoin. It's at an interesting point. We got rejected when Bitcoin went around 73K. We got rejected around a 1.27 trillion market cap. Now we're sitting at 1.31. We're hopefully flipping this previous resistance into support and continuing to move up. I mean, Solana looks somewhat similar, a little bit different because we were on a downtrend here, and now we're flipping this previous downtrend line into support, but similar setup. We could go further down, to be clear. We could always break through this. People get worried. Technicals say that we're going to go further down, and then we break down and take a pretty big dip. That could be a possibility. And with Michael Saylor not buying Bitcoin right now, if they're really in the blackout period, I can see how people would blow that out of proportion and get really worried and then take profits, and then we see another 10-20% dip. Am I worried about that? No. I think the fact is that we are still going up much more this bull run, and I think there are bound to be some dips. I mean, the fact is, with alts falling down, they're down 20% from all-time high, or from recent highs. I don't think that's that bad. During a bull run, typically we see pretty big dips, right? Like we saw in the summer, or from the spring to the summer, we saw dips of 43% in total too. Bitcoin saw a 30% dip, 33% dip, something like that. The fact is, we're going to actually, yeah, 35, 40% dip. We're going to see dips like this. This is the cost of being in volatile assets. But if you think that we're going to go back up, maybe this is a decent time to dollar cost average. The blackout period won't last forever either. And the fact is they will come back, MicroStrategy will come back and buy a lot more Bitcoin. If you think that the US is going to be buying Bitcoin too, this might be a decent time to dollar cost average. Of course, you have to be willing to take that risk. If you're going to trade, you have to have some extra liquidity on the sidelines to be able to dollar cost average lower. And if you are just buying spot, you probably want a dollar cost average as well, just to spread out some of the risk and psychologically just to be able to buy throughout the dip, even if we go further down. But of course, it comes back to you and your risk tolerance and your perspective on the market. Let me know your thoughts underneath the video. Are you bearish? Are you bullish? We have Bitcoin and crypto still at, I think we're still in the greed, on the fear and greed index. But if you look at the traditional stock market, we're in fear. So it's kind of interesting. Tale of two worlds there. The fact is we have taken a good little dip here. So I'm naturally more bullish. Let me know your thoughts though underneath the video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, you can trade crypto down below on Blofin. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one.